We are just moments away now from a decision in the police shooting of Dre'Jon Reed. Reed was shot and killed in May after leading IMPD officers on a chase.
The special prosecutor is getting set to speak right now. We have team coverage tonight, but first we want to take you live to that press conference tonight to get the very latest. We're expected to hear from the special prosecutor moments from now. They're getting set to take questions and make their statements about what will be announced here in the Dre'Jon Reed case. Let's
welcome
listen
to the
in.
Indiana State Police Museum. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Captain Ron Gallivis. I'm the Chief Public Information Officer for the Indiana State Police. And in just a few moments, you're going to be hearing from a couple different speakers who's going to provide information to you. But first, let me make some quick introductions. Immediately to my left is Special Prosecutor Rosemary Corey. Rosemary is with the Madison County Prosecutor's Office. To her left is Rodney Cummings. Mr. Cummings is the prosecuting attorney in Madison County. And to his left is Doug Carter, Superintendent of the Indiana State Police. Before I turn the podium over to Superintendent Carter first for a few brief remarks, I do want to indicate that Rosemary Corey will make her brief address, and afterwards she has indicated she is willing to take limited questions. Now please understand that this case was provided to a grand jury for review, so there's going to be certain information that she just cannot talk about, but the information that she can answer will be factual in nature, will not be speculative. It'll be what we know versus what we don't know. Okay, so we appreciate that up front. And afterwards, I do have some documents to pass out to you, so I'll get that to you as soon as we conclude our press conference. So with that, please allow me to introduce Special Prosecutor Rosemary Corey. Rosemary. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my fault. Please allow me to introduce Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter. Superintendent.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for your interest and thank you for being here today. This has not been taken lightly. A lot's happened in our country around the issue associated with law enforcement use of force. And it was never probably more in the spotlight than it was on May the 25th. May the 6th is when this particular event occurred in the city of Indianapolis. You'll hear from Rosemary Corey in just a moment, who's done an extraordinary job objectively looking at the facts as they occurred. Please understand, please understand that our role is the objective finder of fact. We didn't pick a side, and we will never pick a side. We have hundreds and hundreds of hours in this investigation for really two reasons. Number one, to explain to the family of Dre'Jon Reed what happened. They lost a child. Number two, for the citizens of this great city to explain what happened on that day. Since that period of time, when the event occurred, again, we have gotten hundreds and hundreds of hours. We will not talk about what we think, but we will talk about what we know. So it's really, really important. I've appreciated the patience. I appreciate the partnerships. And with that said, I will turn this over to Rosemary to explain the findings of the grand jury here in the city of Indianapolis, County of Marion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Superintendent Carter, and thank you, sir. This has not been an easy task, and it's been a very heavy burden. On June 4th, I was, excuse me. On June 4th, I was appointed by the Honorable Heather Welsh as a special prosecutor to complete the investigation and any prosecution that might arise from the May 6, 2020 death of 21-year-old Dre'Jon Reed. I requested this investigation be turned over to the Indiana State Police to conduct as complete and thorough an investigation as possible in as sterile an environment as possible. I believe those goals have been accomplished. On August 21st, 2020, I announced that I would be engaging a special grand jury taken from the community to review the evidence and render a judgment, because I believe the grand jury system is the best and final indicator to adhere to the integrity of this investigation, which my investigative team and I have striven so hard to maintain. As the special prosecutor, I asked for the public's cooperation, patience, and for anyone with information or who may have witnessed the shooting to come forward. This was a methodical and labor-intensive investigation, and investigators from the Indiana State Police took great pains to conduct it as separate as possible from that of which had already been conducted by IMPD. When feasible, they utilized the ISP laboratory division while ensuring the necessary impartiality. The special grand jury, made up of citizens from Marion County, was impaneled to hear the testimony and review the evidence presented. Their charge was to determine if enough probable cause existed to believe a crime had been committed. The special grand jury has concluded its review of this case, and I thank each one of them for their service. This special grand jury returned a no bill. This term means there is insufficient evidence to indict or accuse Officer DeJure Mercer of a crime. That concludes my statement.
Madam Prosecutor, what was the most challenging part of presenting this case to the grand jury?
The most challenging part was trying not to let my emotions become involved. There was a lot of evidence to sort through. There were many witnesses that the investigators needed to interview. And I believe that, like I said, the most challenging part was probably just trying to sort through all of the evidence.
And what did you find to be perhaps the most compelling piece of evidence, or the grand jurors indicated to you was most instructive to them about how this incident occurred?
And because early on I committed to transparency to the extent allowable under Indiana law, I would really like to be able to answer that question, but unfortunately, due to the laws that limit the information that can be shared with the public, I'm not able to answer that.
How much of a role did the recorded video play in this case? We saw it from the car, we saw it outside the car, we saw it from numerous sources.
I mean, obviously, that was a piece of evidence that was shared with the public before the grand jury was impaneled. And obviously, it was an important piece of evidence. I mean, that was a piece of surveillance that captured as best it could what occurred. As far as the weight that was given to that piece of evidence, I'm unable to comment on that.
What do you hope is accomplished by what is called a methodical, thorough investigation of the facts? What do you hope the end result is?
Fairness, and from day one, that's been my goal. It's a very sad situation to have, no one wins here. So I hope that anyone who was a part of this entire process can look at this and feel comfortable that the investigation was done in an impartial manner, because that's exactly what my team and I did over the past 5 months that we've had this case.
Ms. Furr, you're in a unique position, and you mentioned your emotions, we can see your emotions. What part of this for you is emotional and that burden that you talked about?
Both sides. I'm a mother of 2 black boys. And I know, thank you. I don't know how Mr. Reed's mother feels, but I'm a mother of 2 black boys. I also am very empathetic toward Officer Mercer. I know that that had to be a difficult position to be in. So all the way around, like I said, no one wins.
Madam Prosecutor, was justice done in this investigation?
I have to believe that justice was done because I trust our system. I trust our judicial system. I put this in the hands of a special grand jury. I presented them with what I thought was a very thorough, comprehensive investigation that my team put together, and I have to believe in the system.
What charges did you present to the grand jury for consideration?
I'm not sure I'm at liberty to answer that because, again, the grand jury proceeding is a private proceeding.
Did the investigation find the shooting was justified?
The no bill indicates that the grand jurors did not find that there was enough probable cause to indict.
Is that no build?
Bill, present tense.
I'd like to add something to what the special prosecutor said just a minute ago. And many of you in this room and I have had these conversations previously. One of the things that we had to overcome was the narrative about what occurred before we actually knew. So that took a little bit of time to be able to do that. And I hope that that's what both you and our citizens in Indianapolis and around the state and really even around the nation would expect. But there was a very strong public narrative early, and that's been a struggle for us from the very, very beginning. That's why I think it's so important that you heard Rosemary talk about empathy and compassion and understanding. All of those are parts of the daily life as we work through these very complicated issues, and certainly understand the dynamic associated within every community in America.
Madam
Did the
Prosecutor.
investigation find Reed fired at the officer?
Ma'am, that is another piece of evidence that I'm unable to share with you due to the secret nature of a grand jury proceeding.
Madam Prosecutor, do you believe that this finding will further divide Indianapolis or heal Indianapolis?
My personal beliefs on that is this. I don't believe there could have been another prosecutor assigned to this case who was as neutral as I am and as objective as I have been over the past 5 months. I've truly kept an open mind about this process, and I have tried to be as impartial as I possibly could about over this process. Early on in this process, I reached out to the mother of Mr. Reed and committed to her that I would do a thorough and impartial investigation, and I have committed to doing that. So my hope is that this community will put and have trusted me and continue to trust me and trust that this has been a fair and impartial outcome.
Superintendent,
With the
with the information that we don't have access to because of the secret nature of the grand jury trial, it's pretty easy to imagine that there would be a number of folks who would see that and think that that in and of itself would leave room for a miscarriage of justice. Can you kind of respond to that kind of concern?
That is Indiana law that is completely out of my control, out of the control of the investigators whom I've worked closely with. It's statutory that the nature of grand jury proceedings is secretive, so I have no control over that.
We have time for one more question because we have another place.
Superintendent Carter, can you tell us if the investigation found that Reed did indeed exchange gunfire with Amanda?
Well, not here. What will happen is we will leave here in a few moments. We will always maintain the integrity of the grand jury system, but what we will share with you is what we know through the course of the investigation. I wasn't a part of the grand jury. Lieutenant Jeff Herron wasn't a part of the grand jury. So they weren't in the room with Rosemary and a great number of people. So I appreciate the question, and I think that once we explain some of the factual information, some of these questions will be answered. Yes, one more.
I think that's what I was going to follow up with. I mean, you mentioned when you started this process there was a narrative out there. I mean, it seems many people will believe that narrative. So will you be providing information to explain what you believe is the true narrative?
We will.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our press conference. Again, I do have some materials that I would like to hand out. We do have another press conference scheduled at 5:30 right up here at the State Police Post right behind us. So we're gonna go ahead and get moving.
All right, you have been looking live there at the press conference. So we have just learned that there will be no charges filed in the death of Mr. Drejon Reed. Special Prosecutor Rosemary Curry making that announcement just within the last 20 minutes. It was a very emotional announcement for her to make. And anytime, as you know, a city is waiting for an announcement like this when it comes to the death of a young person at the hands of a police officer, there is a lot of emotion and a lot of tension. And we were able to feel that emotion from Special Prosecutor Rosemary Curry today. She said her goal was to explain to Mr. Reed's family what happened to their child. And once again, breaking right here, the time now 5:17, she said there was insufficient evidence to indict Officer Mercer of a crime. So there will be no charges filed against Officer Mercer in the death of Drejon Reed. We also heard from State Superintendent Doug Carter. He said that none of this was taken lightly. Probably the most emotional moment was when Rosemary Curry said that it was one of the most difficult cases for her. She has empathy being a mother of 2 black boys, and she also had empathy, she says, for Officer Mercer. What a difficult position it was for him to be in, and what a painful position it is for Mr. Reed's family, as this has ended in this way today in terms of them now having lost a young man in their family.